welcome this morning or afternoon or evening. It depends on where you're tuning in from today, right? Well, I'm still on the beach. You're not going to take the beach away from me. I absolutely love it. This is hanging on my wall and it stays here permanently. But I do have beach envy today because Kim this morning, if you saw her, had a beautiful beach with the waves going and the palm trees blowing in the air, and now I have to figure out how to do that. Well, today I don't have the video we just saw was wonderful, wasn't it? That video that we just saw really let you feel how important travel is to everyone. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I don't have pictures for you today, but I do encourage you to look at videos like the one just shown. If you can see them on Facebook, go back and look at your old photos of trips you've taken. Those are going to bring up good memories for you. I found it very inspirational. I will be doing Alaska and Hawaii in the next coming days, but today I realized I have privy to a lot of information about the travel business that people might have questions on in our current affairs and our current environment. So I wanted to share the information that I have and kind of talk on what will the travel industry recovery look like. Because we're not going to say it's not been affected, because it surely has. I mean, cruise ships are at a halt right now. Flights are at 50% cut, and everyone's home. So, I mean, it is true, it's been affected, but let's talk about the recovery. First of all, the recovery is going to be determined by two major factors. One, when people feel safe to travel, okay? When they're going to feel safe. And that's going to really account to when we have a vaccine. Here's the thing about what's going on right now. It's very fluid. It's changing every day. And there's new information every day. So it's hard to really speak on this without being really completely honest and saying we're all in this learning on a daily basis. But there's a lot of companies in the travel business and organizations that keep us informed and tell us their ongoing plans to help these things. And people feeling safe to travel is number one. After 9/11, we saw a lot of changes with the airlines. We saw TSA put in place. I know we've already talked about, there's going to be a lot of changes on a lot of segments in travel industries. First of all, the travel industry is a large industry, involves a lot of different players. Many of them I may not even know about, like building airplanes, but I can speak on the ones that I'm more in touch with. And for people to feel safe, I think you're going to see for airlines, there's going to be a slower boarding process. There might even be a temperature taking, and you're going to see when a plane everyone gets off the plane, there'll be a longer time before you get back on. That cleaning crew that goes in there so rapidly now may take a little longer. Some people already brought sanitized wipes and did their whole little area. I think you're going to see more and more of that. The last time I flew was in February, and I already did that, and the lady next to me went, "Do you have one for me?" I think people will be carrying those, and I think they'll also be supplied. So we're going to see more and more changes with the cruises, which has really been affected, which I'm going to talk about later. You're going to see a lot of changes. You're going to see longer periods of time where people get off the ship before you can board again, with a very good cleaning crew. Again, hopefully at the point where you get tested before you go on, temperature, and also perhaps even a little bit of whole different sets of rules in place. Even with the airlines, they're going to board differently. There's going to be a lot of new restrictions to make people feel safe. Now, the other big determination how it's going to recover is pricing. The pricing is going to fuel the fire to get people to feel, if you're a little bit not safe, maybe a really good deal is going to get you. And I already know this is already going on for a fact. Low prices, attractive deals. no penalties for future bookings, which is going to be great. We've been so penalized over the years. It's going to feel good to book travel without penalties. For example, right now, Royal Caribbean has in place Cruise with Confidence. So any sailing you book up till September 1st, you can confidently know that you can cancel within 48 hours prior and get a future cruise credit for any time in 2021. So if you see a good deal, keep in mind that that's in place. That might encourage you to be able to take it. Now, me personally, I've already booked a cruise for November of 2020. I've already booked a trip to Belize for 2020. I know the recovery is going to be good. I know how to be safe, but everybody's fears gauge differently. But these good deals are really going to be the fuel to fire people to get going. So we're probably going to go through the neatest time ever where we're going to see travel so affordable. I saw an airfare, and if I were you, I would check every day at the airfares. One day it could be a sale, next day not. 2 days later, yes, a sale again. So just constantly look. I'm going to give you some examples of things I just pulled up. $32 from Miami to LA. $32 to fly Miami to LA. That's across the United States. And this wasn't for now, because who really wants to fly right now? But it was for September, $32. And I could purchase that ticket and I can make changes with that ticket. So I'm really not out anything. I just have this really good deal. Also, I got a text just yesterday from one of our Ibüümerang family members who said, these travel prices are insane. That's how it started out. She said, I booked a 2-story rooftop terrace suite within a plunge pool at the Finest. That's an excellent resort in Cancun for $1,500 for 2 people for 7 nights. These are the kind of deals you're going to be able to do. So if travel wasn't something that you could afford, maybe it is now. Also, she said, I used my insurance to rebook a trip that I had booked for Jamaica, and I saved $700. Now, that is fabulous. And I hear stories like this all the time. And some people are taking advantage of even being able to go. And some people are taking advantage of using this time to go in a little nicer accommodation than usual because it's affordable. So just be watching these prices. As we go more into the fall, they're even going to get better. So watch the prices, because the industry knows they have to lower the prices to fuel this fire, to make people want to travel. And they also know they're going to have to put things in place. They're already being put in place now to make people feel safer while traveling. Now, the leisure travel will come back first. And leisure travel is resilient. As more people are immune to the COVID-19, and there's a vaccine, and there's more testing, people are going to feel like traveling again. And corporate travel will be the last to come back, because business travelers may have some more restrictions. And also, people have discovered Zoom works, and they put Zoom in place of a lot of meetings they used to maybe fly to. So that's going to have some effect. But that leisure travel, everyone's thinking about their next trip. Just this week, and it's only Wednesday, I talked to my son, and he said, oh, what are we going to book? I can't wait to book my trip. I've talked to one of our diamonds who's talking about, let me know what we have scheduled because I need to book my trip. These are all trips for 2020 this fall. I hardly have talked to anyone that isn't talking about going somewhere as soon as they can. And if you watch Facebook, and I think we all are right now, you'll see all the little funnies about how people can't wait to get back to traveling. You know, we want to socialize with our friends. We want those family trips. We want to be with our family, and we want to build those memories. That's a strong force to reckon with. Now, some leisure segments will do better than other leisure segments. the cruise line has taken a very big hit. Okay, they have had a very big hit. There's no doubt about it. They've taken lots of measures to make people feel safe to cruise again because they know they're in a small environment. And we'll see different kind of travel. Like we'll see maybe at first, after 9/11, it started out, this is the cruise line's 9/11, actually, because after 9/11, when a plane went right into a building and people watched it over and over again on the news, they didn't want to get on a plane. Now we've seen many horror stories about cruise ships on the news and how people were sick and they were contained. They've learned from this, okay? And that's the good thing. They have learned from this, as we all have learned a lot from this. And they're taking measures to make that a more safe environment. People love to cruise. I'm one of them. They love to get on that cruise ship and see several destinations, have fine dining, entertainment, lots of things to do, and it's just a fun way to travel. It's not going anywhere, but it did take a big hit. And recently, when they put the 100-day no sail order, that took another big hit. Of course, there's no bailout for the cruise lines because they aren't incorporated in the United States. They're in all the different countries. So, but the good thing about them is they put themselves in a position over the years where they've learned to deal with lots of crises. For example, they've had the collisions, they've had passengers overboard. Those were some major stories they recovered from. Ebola, norovirus, the swine flu. They've learned to overcome these things. They've built up their bank of savings. They were on their road to be a record-breaking year in 2020 for cruise ships. So the whole cruise line industry, some better than others. You may not know Carnival Corp owns Carnival Cruise, Princess Cruise, Holland America, Seabourn, and Costa Cruises. So, and Cunard. So they own several different cruise ships, and they're in a very good financial position. Now, there's some predictions that you may see some collaboration on some of those different lines under the Carnival Corp name. There's also talks about the cruise ships coming out first with smaller cruise ship itineraries until people feel safer. There's also conversation about smaller ships. And the River Viking cruise that's very popular in Europe is talking about bringing a ship to the United States and doing a river cruise down to Miami. Now, these only hold up to about 200 passengers, so it's not as large of amount of people, and the dining and stuff is a little more separated. So the cruise industry had over 31 million passengers last year, and 71% of it was millennials. So they've got this new generation hooked on cruising, and that's very important to know, because that means they're still going to want to cruise again. So we have a large market here that we know is going to bounce back. They're in a good financial position. They can do all the necessary changes they need to do to make people feel safe, because that's the key to travel again. Now, they have done, if you had a cruise, let me tell you some of the things they're doing. If you had a cruise booked and it got canceled, and right now they're canceled till June 27th. Some of them a little longer if they're out of New York or out of Canada. But if you had a cruise canceled, you have the choice to either rebook at a later date, get a future cruise credit, and if you choose that, you get 125% back. So they're giving you more than you spent if you use a future cruise credit, and that assures their future cruising. Or you can get 100% refund. They're being very good about it. But doing that future cruise credit at a higher price, and then it's even going to be discounted when you go to book it, is really allowing you to get a better balcony, maybe a different, more expensive type of itinerary. So, and that's also promoting their future business. So actually, future business for cruise lines, I was just on with the Cruise Line International Association, CLIA. They're an advocacy program for cruise industry and travel agents alike. And we're part of them at Xstream, and we do a lot of programs with them. And they announced that cruising for 2021, future cruising on the books in 2020 is up 9%. Now, there could be a little bit to these future cruise credits, but and 60 to 70% of the canceled cruises are opting to take the future cruise credit. So that's all really good news for the future in that industry. Now, there's also a brand new cruise line coming out, Richard Branson, that did Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Airways, and the whole Virgin brand has Virgin Voyages now. And he's starting in the industry and trying to change it. He looked at every cruise ship and said, how can we, what do I like off of this one? What do I like off of this one? And I'm going to make mine the best, right? So that's coming out too. So there's a lot of future hope for the cruise business. Now the airlines, they're handling it a different way too. And the airlines were affected. All airlines are about 50% cut on their capacity, which means they had to cut some flights because they don't want those seats to go out empty. They've tried new things like boarding differently. They leave the middle seat empty. The upgraded first class boards last instead of first, and they're making not everyone be able to upgrade, so first class isn't full. They've also done some programs where if you had a frequent flyer elite status and you're not traveling this year to qualify for next year, whatever your status is today will roll over till 2022. So they're putting things in place. They're talking about putting much different cleaning programs in place in between flights. And I would not be surprised if there's more screening before people get on flights than we've ever seen in the past. But they also had this is the thing about the airlines. It's a national pride issue. We don't want them to be in jeopardy because they represent the United States. They represent us, all different airlines for each country. Each country has their own airline, feels that way about their airline. So they're always going to be helped because of the national pride for them. They really rely on the business traveler. That is a big section of their business, and that's going to come back slower. So they've already taken steps to lay off, but not really that many. It's more furlough, like you're going to take a 60 to 90 day break and then come back. They're trying not to just have a complete layoffs like they did in 9/11 because they know it's coming back. That's when you see more hope, when they know it's coming back. 9/11 was a little harder on the airlines. They were totally grounded, and we're not totally grounded right now. Believe me, I'm on an airport path and I see them all day long going over my house. They also, the first bailout package, and this is how fluid everything is right now, because I did this prepping last night, and this morning I woke up and watched the news, and something already changed. The airlines were offered a bailout package, and just to give you some information on this, when they get a bailout package, that's great. I mean, everybody's kind of doing that right now, but they have to pay it back, or the government gets stocks in their company. So it always costs them to do that. Well, they were really hesitant to take any bailout because they know they pay it back. They know they're going to have to give up something. So they've been holding out to have to do that. I heard this morning they're considering it now, but I don't know which airlines or how many, but they're too big to fail, okay? The majority of the major airlines are too big to fail, and that's not going to happen. But you may see changes, and you're going to see great deals, because remember, those two determining factors is people being comfortable and not have the fear to travel, and prices fueling that fire. So you'll see cut rates, You'll see still a smaller amount of flights going out. But, you know, after 9/11, they laid off a lot. They're in a lot better financial position in 220 than they were at 9/11 by far. So they are not predicting bankruptcy and stuff like they were after the 9/11. So this is we're in a better position that way in travel. And that's what I can't stress enough. Yes, there are some cuts. Yes, maybe some people get laid off or furloughed, but there are going to be things into the future that you're going to see. They were in a better position so they can last longer. Travel may change at first. You may see people driving for vacations. You may see them going to closer things in the United States. You may see them just starting to spark out a little bit and taking advantage of some good airfares. You'll see the all-inclusive resorts in Mexico and the Caribbean will automatically be sold out by the fall, I believe. And smaller resorts too. The smaller all-inclusive resorts where you can kind of have space away from people and it's not so many people and you could be out on the beach or laying at the pool and still get that vacation feeling, but with a little bit of confinement still. I mean, I know a lot of people that when all this started, they just wanted to get on a plane and go to a beach because they wanted to keep their confinement on the beach. I mean, that can be so bad. Look at back here, right? But theme parks may take a little longer to come back. That's where there's masses of people and stuff like that. That could take a little longer. Group travel, I can tell you, we specialize in group travel and Xstream. Every one of my groups have moved. No one canceled. Everyone moved their group into the fall of 220 or 221. So those major groups that are at resorts are just moving to a later date. That's huge. That means those resorts see future bookings. Future bookings are up. Future bookings are on the books. The message in the industry is don't cancel, rebook. So, and that message has been filtering through to the people, and that's what's going on. Lots of future travel being booked right now. And all the calls I'm on and everything I'm on, there's a couple of organizations, ASTA, the American Association of Travel Agents, and CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association. These two groups go to government a lot for advocacy for agencies and the industry in general. Cruise Line for the CLIA, and for ASTA, it's travel agencies. And they've made it where travel agencies can be, even independent contractors can be part of the CARE Act. So that's really exciting. So after 9/11, you saw a lot of travel agencies shut down. I think that's not going to happen now. There may be some buyouts, but I think it's going to be a strong industry still. I'm sure of it, especially the host agency market. You know, I've been in the business, like I talk about a lot, since 1982, okay? 38 years. And I hate to say that, it really dates me, but I've seen commission cuts. Everyone thought this is it. Travel agents are out, travel industry. I've seen deregulation with the airfares. I've seen 9/11, which was really, really significant. I've seen epidemics like swine flu, Ebola. I've seen many, but this is the first pandemic we've seen. But the industry is in such a better place than they've ever been, and people love to travel, and that love for travel's only grown from 9/11 to now. There's more and more people, and more people have traveled, that we know it's an industry that's going to survive. And actually, we know it's going to be stronger than ever. Although it may not look like it, travel has a bright, big future. Here's some of the things that we talk about on our calls that we look at for travel in the future. So things are already worked on for so much future travel that there's no way this driving force is going to stop. Like instant face recognition to check in for your airline or a cruise. I mean, that's right around the corner. I see webinars on it all the time. Super fast trains. I'm talking super fast. We already have fast ones in Europe. They're going to be super fast all over to get people from one destination to another. And space as a destination. I actually worked at an agency that had to get accredited to sell tickets to space already today. 2030, this is all going to be like normal stuff. So the industry's future is bright. That's what I'm trying to share with you. It's in a good place. I get privy to a lot of this information. I just wanted to share with you in case you weren't. And take advantage, I'm going to end with take advantage of any travel deals that you see out there and look and search. And if you don't see them right now, hold tight because they're coming. And be sure that you get on a beach like the one behind me as soon as you can. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you found these tips helpful today.